is taking place in the Knesset at Shemateri Chabad Tsfat, and tonight is Thursday night. Yud Tes Manachem Or Tovshin Ayin Zayin. So, as we've been knowing the past few weeks, we'll try to sum up the whole amazing unfolding of unbelievable development and depth that these sikhas represent. We try to sum it up in a few words. The whole tachlis of the Bria was that the Eibishter created man in order that man should reunite with Hashem through his own efforts. That's to say, the creation placed him in a way that, as if he were a mensch b'fnei atzmai, as if he's like a separate entity. The whole purpose of the creation, that he should find his way back to absolute unity with Hashem, what he has anyway, really, but it's all hidden from him. But that he should do that himself, precisely. That should davki b'koyches atzmai. And by doing that, by recreating his absolute unity with Hashem through his own efforts, he also makes the world, as it were, a different place than what it was without the actual creation per se. He turns the world into what we call a dira. Without the omnipotence of Hashem, Hashem can make a dira b'tartanium if he wants a dira b'tartanium, he can do it. Hashem, the whole secret of creation is that the mensch, he should make the dira. And therefore the dictum was, last says, lo yizbara dira b'tartanium, that your tafkid and your job and your aim as a created human being is to make the world a dwelling place for Hashem. I mean, Hashem is anyway there. Mitzad oira seivev and oira atzmas, Hashem is anyway in the creation. The whole thing is to make a gilui of Hashem in the creation. And that movement from Helen into Gilui, well, that Hashem wants that man should do. That man should make Elikus revealed in the world, not hidden. And that should be an act on the part of the effort of man himself. That's the whole inyan of Elo. This sikha was said when Shabbat Parshas Eikev was Mavochim HaChodesh Elo in that year, different to we ourselves this year in that part. However, Elo was just around the corner, and the whole inyan of Elo is Ani L'Doidi, and afterwards Doidi Li. In other words, the Eibishter waits and wants that man should do something in order to come towards him. Ani L'Doidi, and then afterwards there'll be all the recognition and the inyanim of Hashem no ma'ila lamata. And that's different than, for example, Nisan. By Nisan, it's written another pasuk in Shir HaShirim, which says, Doidi li vani loi. It's another pasuk altogether. It's a feeling, I think, in another parak in Shir HaShirim. However, that says, first of all, the Eibishter will be to me, and then I will be to him. Well, that's the Seder of Nisan. But that's the Seder of Yetzias Mitzrayim, The Yidden weren't ready, but nonetheless Hashem took them out, and then they began counting the Sphira and other preparations of themselves. Then there was Yisaruzadilla Tata. And so that's a great inyan, and that happens every year, which is a sign that it's a very significant part of our relationship with Elokus. But the Eikev of Elul and Tishrei are exactly the opposite. That Hashem waits that we do first our part, Ani Ladoidi, and then He will give the Doidi Li to us. And so, to a certain extent, the main point is that Elul in that regard represents more like the ultimate tachlis of the whole Bria. The whole Bria is that you should do something, that you were created that you should do. And that was the whole secret of creation. I had to say, why do we have a whole month, a whole series of months in the summer until we get that far? Because Pesach and all the months after, they're like a giving and a preparation to give us strength and to give us all the necessary koyach with which we're going to do that. But ultimately, we're going to do it ourselves. When does that start? That starts on now. Which means, and that's what's going to be pointed out in the Sikha, which means that before we're required, Ani Ladoidi, before we're required to make this tremendous effort, Lamata Lamaila, from down to above, Hashem gives us an Asinas Koyach. In other words, that He doesn't leave it entirely up to us. He gives us an Asinas Koyach. That's also called a Yisaruzah Da'ela. But that Yisaruzah Da'ela is only get you started. And then, once you've done that, there's a further Yisaruzah Da'ela, Doidi Li. But that's the finality of the whole result, the whole resultant of what we do. And then it's a Yisaruzah Da'ela on a very high level, very, very supreme level, higher than the Yisaruzah Da'ela which got us started. And that's basically the picture of the whole Sikha, even though there are many tremendously rich and complex details, but that's basically the whole story, that Elul represents like the ultimate aim of the whole creation. You see, the ultimate aim of the whole creation is that we've got to get moving. We have to do something ourselves. So you say, why are you pointing only at me? Point at the others. So I point at everybody and myself as well. Okay, so here we go. Yedua, says the Rebbe, Shechodesh Elul, Hu Chodesh Hamatim B'Yoser, Lari Boi Cheshben Nefesh. That Elul is the most fitting of all the months to make a, how do you call it, calculation of the soul, to examine carefully and to work out where are you really holding, and therefore Elul has himself two inyanim. And what this, by the way, is brought down in the great early Svarim, and particularly it's also mentioned in the works of the Arizal, that during Elul you have to do tshuva and work out where you're holding in order to prepare for the Yom HaNorah. That's clearly in the Likutei Torah Arizal, and it's also brought down in the great Poskim. So the Rebbe says, what's so special about Elul? That Elul is the last month of the whole year. It's the last month of the whole year. So that's the fitting time to sit down and make a workout. What have you been doing the whole year? Where are you holding? And what are you doing in order to get close to the Eibusha? And another reason why it's fitting for what we just said that that's the going up of Moshe Rabbeinu on Rosh Chodesh Elul. The Moshe Rabbeinu went up onto the mountain the last time. And that's when he got the Luchos Achroinas, and that's when he got the full forgiveness for the Jewish people, the full slicha for the whole Inyan, and that was called Yemei Ratzon. That he called it a very augureous day that he went up onto the mountain. So therefore it's another good reason that the very augureous time, Melmaila, where Hashem is prepared to be Makar of the Yid despite what happened. Adafah says the Rebbe, it's a very fitting time to make that cheshbon and nefesh, l'takein es kol hatoyos, in order to fix up, to maintenance all the mistakes, shenasu b'mahalach hashana ha'chodesh, to fix up all the errors which have been made in the year which is going by. ובכך לזכוינן היטב לקראת השנה הבאה, to prepare yourself properly and well for the new year which is about to come. And with that he means the Aveda of the Chagim, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippurim and Sukkot. Ashailahi, the question however is, Keitad ubeiza tzura oleinu lashes the cheshbon nefesh. The question asks itself by the thoughtful reader, he's got to make a cheshbon nefesh, but how is he supposed to do that? What are the lines and the shaping of that cheshbon nefesh? How does he actually carry that out by poyo? What is that really meant to be in a general way? What are we talking about when we talk about making a cheshbon nefesh? So he says the Rebbe Mekivich kol dover uprat bo'ilon ubashgoha proti is meis Hashem. Since everything that happens in the world, even if one leaf blows over from one side of the road to the other, that's a proteus. How much more so if we're talking about important inyanim al pitera, b'vaday that everything is betaklis adiyuk. Oleinu lasim leiv gam lo'uvda shorosh chodesh elul, arosh shokol yamei chodesh. What the Alter Rebbe points out in our Amaima in the Kutei Torah, that just like we say that Rosh Hashanah is like the head of the whole year, and it governs and has a very decisive general effect on the whole year. In the same way, Rosh Chodesh, the first day of the month, is also it's called Rosh, just like Rosh Hashanah. In other words, it's like the brain and the head of the whole month. So the Rebbe says this year, the year that he said the Sikha, Rosh Chodesh Elul, Yetze b'yom Shabbos Kodesh, v'gam lemocharos b'yom Rishon. In that year of Toshin Nun Aleph, the first day of Rosh Chodesh Elul was Parsha Riyeh. Next week's Parsha was already Rosh Chodesh, and the Sunday afterwards was the second day. And it's well known that Elul is always 2 days, Rosh Chodesh. Menachem Ov is always a full month. There's always 30 days in Menachem Ov, which means that the 30th day, that is really the finality of Menachem Ov. And that's the first day of Rosh Chodesh. And the second day of Rosh Chodesh is Aleph of Chodesh Elul. And there are several months of the year that they're like that. But Elul, the way we have it now, not in the time of the Beis Hamikdash, but the way it is now, it's always 2 days. So therefore, on this particular year, it was Shabbos, followed by Sunday. Be'ilu Shabbos Zu, however, this Shabbos, which with Parsha Eikev was the week before, but that's Mevoreches is a Chodesh, he Shabbos Parsha Eikev. That's not Rosh Chodesh, but Parsha Eikev. So he said, Gafni protem elu, from all of these details, nuchal lahovin ma'at מהו בעצם חשבון הנפש של חידוש אלול? If we take all these inyonim into account, and we look carefully at what does it mean, the Rosh Chodesh came out on Shabbos, and then there's another day Rosh Chodesh on Yom Rishon, and that's preceded by this Parsha Eikev. All those things can teach us something, how we're really supposed to make the Cheshbon HaNefesh. Chodesh Elul, says the Rebbe, Mahava be'etzem sikum kloli shel kol hashana. The truth is that Chodesh Elul is like a summing up, or like a finality, and how would you call it, a synopsis. It's like a generality of all the year that's gone by. He said, but kol hashana, all the year, tafkid ha'yechidi shel Yehudi, who the one and only job of a Yehudi is l'shamesh or l'shoras as boirei. The whole inyan we're down here for in this world is to serve and to l'shamesh means to serve, and so to l'shoras. L'shamesh means like in a more detailed way. The l'shoras is boirei. Your whole inyan while you're down here is only to serve the Eibishter. And what is that but by you? L'mala es ratzon Hashem, and to fulfill the will of the Eibishter. V'tafkid zeh mitpateh b'miyurad b'chodesh elul. And he said this particular task of serving the Eibishter through carrying out what does the Eibishter really want, he said that expresses itself in a very special way b'chodesh elul. Sheroshi ha'teiva shaloi hu ani l'doidi. Yeah, I am going to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Doidi is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But doidi li, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu is coming down to me. Yeah, Aishchabras ima HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It means to join up with Hashem. Amit bateis, yeah, which however expresses itself. Oy b'avidosh shel Yehudi b'kiyum haTorah mitzvos ani l'doidi, oy be'ezrosei hanadiva shel haboirei, which is doidi li. So the Rebbe says that there are two factors here, in Chodesh Elul. One is the ani l'doidi, but since the word Elul has aleph lamed, not just ani l'doidi, it also has vav lamed, which is the other part of it. But doidi li, and therefore you can't really argue that the doidi li will only be in Tishrei, and the ani l'doidi is in Elul. We have to say that ani l'doidi and also doidi li are there in Elul also, because Elul is made up of the doidi li. So therefore, says the Rebbe, we have to say that Elul indicates to us the both aspects, that there's an aspect where you have to be ani l'doidi, and then afterwards there will be doidi li. What that means, now that's what the Rebbe says, that this is like the summing up of the whole tafkid of what a yid is all about. A yid is all about that he is really meant to do things himself. All the other things which have been given during the summer are only a lead up that he should begin. And Elul is the beginning of that whole start off, where he begins ani l'doidi. And that's the whole tafkid of a person created in this world, because that's the ultimate purpose of the whole creation. However, there's also in the Elul itself the doidi li. But it's with a seder. First of all, ani l'doidi, and then doidi li. So you might say, well, maybe I can have either or. You can't have either or. You have to have a union of both of those things together. He said, "B'chodesh elul melamed she'al lanu l'sheves b'chibuk yodayim." Chodesh Elul comes to teach us that we should never just sit without hadikot. Chibuk yodayim means twiddling your thumbs. You should never just sit holding your own hand. and wait for him to give to you what he can give you. The whole inner velo shows us Eikev, Basir. The whole, and the Rebbe points out, it's not just Eikev Basir in the Avodah of each and every one of it. No, that is the tachlis of the whole creation. That was the ultimate purpose of the whole creation, that you should do something with your own koyach. So he said, Eikev Basir Ushakoidam Ko Ba Avidosh Shal Yehudi Ani L'Doidi. First of all, you got to get moving. You have to do something. In other words, the whole emphasis in Elul is on you. You're kilo in the spotlight. Afterward, in Elul itself, you will then get a special Nasidus matana from Hashem, or not a matana, like a help according to what you put into it. But first of all, you got to make the effort yourself. It's all got to be done with your koyach. And then you get this, as it were, divine assistance and support from the Eibishter in Elul itself, without waiting until the end of Elul. Klema. That means to say that Lamrei Shekol Echad Mekabel Ezra Elokish Oid Lefnei Avodah. So the truth is, says the Rebbe, that even before you begin the Avodah, you already get a Ezra Elokish. That the Eibishter, we're all so, as it were, motionless, that Hashem didn't stuff us from the beginning, we would never get moving. But Hashem gives us, at the beginning of Elul, He gives us a special, what we might call, to use the expression in Yiddish, a stuff. He gives us a push, and that gets us moving, and then we get another divine influence, Doidili. So Kunda is that the Eibishter is with us all the way around, but as Be'ika, and as it were, the center and meaning of everything, that you got to do something. You got to do your bit. And so what is that? What is that help that Hashem gives you? Right from the beginning of Kodesh Elul, He said, Kamoi Thodein Midas Harachamim Hameir B'Chodesh Elul Gam Lo Yavedas Ha'odam. It's well known that as soon as Elul begins, it's like a tremendous 8 Ratzon. Mitzad the 8 Ratzon, there's Meir the Yud Gimel Midas Harachamim. And the Alter brings it in L'Kutei Torah, in the famous Maimon of Ani L'Doidi, that right from the beginning of Elul, you have Yud Gimel Midas Harachamim. Like the whole year, it's a very special killing of the Midas Harachamim, purely to arouse people, to give them a feeling of something very special that's happened, and they've got to get aroused and get moving. So David said, Ach, im zois, loizu hamatara. Even though the Eibishter is helping you with the Yud Gimel Midas Harachamim, that's not the aim. The ultimate aim is to get you moving. Davke kasher nivatzah, honor or nivatzeh, Davke when we will carry out our task, anu es tafkideinu, natzliach likloid heitev es agiluim ha'elokiyim ha'gavoyim bi. In other words, that the Yud Gimel Midas Harachamim are very high. They're very, very high elevations. But it'll be all what they call in English, water off a duck's back. If you're not making your effort, then you won't really be aware of it. But if because you know that there are the Yud Gimel Midas Harachamim, you get moving, then you feel and you live with the awareness of these Nasinah Square from the Yud Gimel Midas Harachamim. And then you become much more motivated and prompted to do your Anila Doidi. So it's an amazing, it's very complex. The Rebbe sort of balances it back and forth, and there's all sorts of amazing footnotes where the Rebbe points out how ultimately, with all the divine assistance And with all the giving of the Yud Gimel L'Tzarachim, the central point of it all is Ani L'Doidi, and Ani means you, or me. That's what it's all about, the whole Inyan. And therefore the Rebbe says, Lochein Elo Matchila Be'alel. A very amazing thing. The Rebbe said the word Elo begins with the Ot, Aleph. And what is Aleph? Aleph is the first Ot of the whole Aleph base, which means it's the beginning of everything. And if you don't have Aleph, you don't have an Aleph base. Yeah, first of all, you have to have Aleph, then you can move to Beis, then you can move to Gimel, then you can move to Dalet. But if you don't have an Aleph, there's no start. From that we see that Hashem wants you to start. Because only after you put down your Aleph, then it's shy for you to reach Beis and Gimel and Dalet and all the other Inyanim, and Hashem will help you with that. But first of all, you've got to put down your Aleph. You have to make a meaningful start all on your own. And then it works with a Seder. Then you go from Aleph to Beis and from Beis to Gimel. And you make a ordered but very real program. You have to start from below. Even though Hashem's giving you the Yud Gimel Tzarachim, but you got to begin from below. Yeah, me Aleph. But only in that way, ניתן להמשיך הלוע לבייס ולגימל, ואף לטוב. The Rebbe said if you keep moving in a determined way, you eventually reach Tov. Yeah, and Tov is 400. And so the Rebbe points out that Al-Pi Kabbalah, 400 is a very, it's a very high level. Avraham Avinu, how much did he pay for the Marazim of Balaam? He paid 400, but he paid 400 shekel kesef. So shekel kesef is a very, very, very high madrigal. 400 represents a very, very high madriga in divine tainul, tremendously high level. So the Rebbe said, if you start off and you give your Aleph, and you make sure that you do something, then there's no hold bar. You can move continually and you can reach 400 shekel. You can reach the highest in Yonah. So he said, Yachadim Zois, however, together with all this, Ka'omo, Achelik Hasheni Shabamila Elo, V'doidi Li. However, don't forget that in Elul itself, the second part is Vav Lamed, which is V'doidi Li. So he said, Masamo says Rosei Shalakodesh Bohula Odom. But that's already the Eivishter's part. And there's an old saying in Yiddish, the Eivishter bleibt nicht kein Balkoim. Hashem always pays his debts. He never allows himself to be on the list of those who owe. The Eivishter always pays his debts. If he sees that you're doing something, he will take care of his part. And that's the V'doidi Li, in Elul itself. Mesamach says, Rosh Hashanah Baruch Hu Ulam Mikim Shigam Zeh Chelik Mechoyt Chesbon. Since that's part of the whole making a Chesbon, Alavidos Shal Yehudi, Muven Shezeh Mesamo Gam Derek Noiseves, Bavidos Shal Yehudi. In other words, the sense there's help from Hashem, V'doidi Li, is in the month of Elul, and Elul is a month of a Chesbon, assuming that even that help he gives you, V'doidi Li, he's only helping you to make the Chesbon really profoundly, which means that if you were left to your own, the certain dimensions of the Chesbon that you would miss out on. And Hashem helps you to make sure that your Aveda is Aveda Muslim. And that's all. He helps you, but he only helps you to make what you start off more perfect and more effective. It's a very amazing point. It comes out that that's also part of the cheshbon. Moving, שזה מסמל גם דרך נעשבת בעבידו של היהודי. דרך בה היהודי אוהב את השם מיילה למטה. He's serving Hashem with divine help meyla lamata, but he's also doing it. In other words, he's getting help meyla lamata to do mata lamayla. He's really carrying out mata lamayla. But there's a meyla lamata that's helping him doing that. If he started off. But if he doesn't start off, he doesn't get that meyla. Yeah, מבלי להשחשב כלל בקושי העולם. Without any reckoning beklal in the difficulties of the world. In other words, that if you really show that you want to do it, then Hashem will help you carry out your bid in a way that the difficulties of the world won't get in the way. What is a person, what does he complain? He gets started and he says, oh, this is a bit beyond my abilities, you know, I got all sorts of problems, like I got all sorts of difficulties, and there's all sorts of things which are interfering, and this and that. So the divine help that you get in the doidi li, that helps you get rid of the difficulties, so that you'll be able to go ahead, and make your cheshbon. So we still haven't quite defined what is making your cheshbon. We'll see as we go along. So the Rebbe Lochen Yeshnei Yemei Rosh Chodesh Le'elo. Therefore, there's already 2 days of Rosh Chodesh Le'elo. B'tei lalamed she'eshnam shnei drachim b'beit Hashem. In that inyan of ani l'doidi, there are 2 ways. Tahainu, one that you have to do, and one that you get a divine assistant to keep doing. In other words, it's all yours, but it's divided into 2. That which is only yours, and that would Hashem assist you in what you're doing. I remember those are the 2 ways in a Beit Hashem. Oh? So the Rebbe says, Yesh derech achaz amatchila miyom rishon. But if we take it the way it was that year, then the 2 days of Rosh Chodesh were Shabbos and Yom Rishon. So here's a little bit sort of back the other way. The Rebbe takes first of all Sunday, and then he goes back to Shabbat. So he said, for example, Yeshna derech achas hamitchala miyom rishon. So when you start on Yom Rishon, what do? You say Yom Yom Rishon. And then the next day you say Yom Yom Sheni. And you say Yom Yom Shlishi. So what are you doing? You're moving Mulmata Lamaila with your own koyach. That's what the weekdays represent. So there was the Rebbe, you're going min akal el kabed. You take on yourself more each day. And therefore the Rebbe points out that Yom Sheni is more avoided than what Yom Rishon is. And he said Yom Shlishi, even though you got a lot of milas in Yom Shlishi that you don't have in Yom Rishon and so on, nonetheless, every day is like an extra building in Taz. Why? Why would it be that way? And from that it comes out that Yom Shishi, Friday, is really like the Tachlis Avodah. That's the big day where you reach your highest point. That's what the Rebbe said. And I must admit that Yom Shishi, I'm battling. But that's what they say. That's what the Rebbe says. He says that Yom Shishi, that's the big day. No. Why? Because you've gone up from the bottom upwards. You feel that's Yom Rishon. Rishon Hochim or Misalim Oid v'oid, no, Maila Lamata, that doesn't make sense. No, Mata Lamaila, I think it should be. Yeshno derech noisefes, and he said there's another way, Amatchila b'yom HaShabbat, where you begin on Yom HaShabbat. Now Shabbos is, how do you call it, L'chatchila Riva. Shabbos, you don't have to do with anything. There's no world there. It's not like no malachas, no nothing. Everything is prepared. The Gemara says, Misha Torah, Erev Shabbos, Yoichel b'Shabbos. Everything is prepared. So when you come into Shabbos, you come in l'chatchila ariba. And the Rebbe brings an amazing thing in the Sikha, that according to the Pardes, the Ramak was a Tzfat. He was the Yid that lived in Tzfat. The Ramak writes in the Pardes, and certain great Mukabonim follow him, and they say that before the whole world was created, in the 7 days of creation, there was already a Shabbos. The Eibush already created Shabbos beyond the whole Seder, and there was a Madriga already ready called Shabbos. And what happened in the creation was that he worked up 1, 2, 3, 4, and he got all the way back to Shabbos, but the Shabbos was already there. That's what the Rebbe. So Lefi Zekunta is that Shabbos is a complete waiting thing for you. It's already finished. It's already there. It was like a waiting thing, which means that when you come into Shabbos, you come into a tremendous level of Lachatila. So what does that mean? Yeah, well, that means that you can start off on Shabbos without going with a Seder 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But you can start off Lachatila on a very elevated level. You can immediately jump into Chaim Madrigas mitzad Yon Neshama. Yeah, not mitzad how Yon Neshama is mugbal al yidei haguf, but the way Yon Neshama is in her own right. Yeah, so you can melachatchila come into Shabbat. Yeah, b'yom Shabbat. Shabo melachatchila lo yisayfri mesa oilam. We don't count the world anymore. The world is like of no significance. Or melachatchila oisem es aveda b'shleimas milmayla lamata. That's even from milmayla lamata. Amir Shabbos milmayla lamata. So the Rebbe says that on Shabbos it's mutar to go up onto a high madrega that in the middle of the week you would only come to that after a lot of effort, or maybe you wouldn't even reach a baklav. But therefore on Shabbos, it's permitted, and not only permitted, but it's very, required and wanted, that you should make an effort to do something beyond the ragil. Yeah, there's it. Says the Rebbe, therefore, by the way, there's an opinion in the Gemara. There are two opinions in the Gemara. What about a guy who is wandering in the desert and he's all alone and he forgets what day of the week it is until he doesn't know what day it is? Yeah? So what does he do about Shabbat? There are two opinions. One opinion says that on the spot he has to make Shabbat, right away. He has to make Shabbos, and then count 6 days afterwards, then make another Shabbos. And there's other people, they say no. You have to start counting 6 days from now, and then make Shabbos. So this is what we just learned. That's what the Rebbe pointed out, that opinion. We told you have to make Shabbos first. Shabbos is a very elevated madriga all in its own right, and that's as it were, that's the doidi li, where Hashem as it were helps you in your Aveda. He gives you the credit to go beyond counting in an ordered way. Very amazing idea. Philip Rose. As a matter of fact, I thought of this a few weeks ago. I give a shiur down where I live, and we'd had guests, and I hadn't really slept very much at all, and I thought to myself, it's not so terrible. So people wait, and they say I didn't come, and they'll get on without me. And all of a sudden I remembered this whole thing. I said to myself, wait a minute, Shabbos, you got to be, got to be like Hatchila River. So I got up and I went down and I gave it the shiur, and then I gave it for bringing up. That's what the Rebbe said. So the Rebbe says, these two inyonim are the same as the guf and the neshama. Mitzad the guf, mitzad your body, you have to go orderly. You can't just be mavar of the body in one bang. You have to go step by step, purify the body, because the body's dust. And dust is a pretty hard sort of a spoiler. It's a hard merchandise. Although the neshama is very elevated. So mitzad the neshama, you can go lechatchila river. Or mitzad the guf, you have to go, how to go, milmata le'mayla, step by step. So he said, Shnei drochim elu, akayomim, oid misheshi shemei bereishit. But these two ways are there right from the very creation of the world. Shekein ha'olam nira b'yem rishon, kedei lalamed es derech ha'aveda milamata lamayla. Ve'ilu sifra ha'kabbalah, this sifra ha'kabbalah mavur, shelifnei zeh hayom yom Shabbat. That's what we pointed out before, that they claim that there was a Yom Shabbos even before the whole creation. The Achar Pa Yom Rishon, no Maila Mata, Kayomim Eitzakod Yehudi. Amera, these two inyonim are there by every year. So he says, Aguf Nivra Min Ha'ofer. Your body is created from dust. He said, and in order to purify and to sanctify your guf, need dresses aveda rabba. That's a very, how do you call it, complex task. La'at. How do you call it, slowly, avu batua. You have to go in a sure way. If you purify your guf just with one bang, then you might come back and find that there's a lot of things that still need purity. Therefore, you have to go sure, and la'atahu batuah is a way of saying in Russian Kodesh, slow but sure. Slow but sure. La'atahu batuah, rakach ניתן להגביה את הגוף מלמטה למעלה. אולם he said, נשמה או נשמת היהודי, the neshama of a Jew, היא למעלה לגמרי מהגבולת העולם. Why is that? He said, היא חלק אלוקה ממעל, היא חלק אלוקה ממש, ממעל ממש. כלומר, what does that mean? שגם כאן בעולם הממושי, here in this world of mamoshi, how do you call mamoshi? There's a word, things that can be touched, what's it called? Tangible. Yeah, in the tangible physical world. היא עדיין חלק אלוקה. מצד הנשמה ניתן לבצע עבודת גבוהות מאוד. He said the whole model of the neshama is that it's a chilek halakha mema. So you might say, well, wait a minute, down here in this world, she's still a chilek halakha mema? You know, this world is a pretty crazy place. So the answer is that yes, even though the neshama comes down into the tangible, physical world, she still remains a chilek halakha mema. That's based on a very famous story, and that's the Rebbe brings it in a footnote. It's well known that the Friedrich Rebbe used to have a shiur in Tanya with his father, with the Rebbe Rashab. And when they learned Perik Beis, it's written that the Alter Rebbe says the neshama is a chilek halakha Mimal Mami, right? So the Rebbe Rashab said, what does that mean? That the inifan mamish, that means how do you call it? The tangibility and the physicality of this world. But what the Alter Rebbe means to say is that she is unites, the neshama unites together two impossible extremities. Dahainu milmayu, what milmayu means the highest possible madrigas, and mamish. The neshama remains a divine power and a divine portion, even though she comes down into mommy. Even she comes into the world, mommy. So the Rebbe said, if you wake up that that's what you got inside you, you got a neshama, so then you know you can do things and you can elevate the whole world. How you become aware of what you can really do if you want to. So he said, ניתן לבצע עבודת גבוהות מאוד, אם כן I can achieve very big things. ולהגיע למדרגות אלוקיות נעלות, I can reach very, very elevated divine levels, עד לשלמות העבודה. Yeah, but that's all מלמעלה למטה, because it's מצד הנשמה, it's not מצד me. Yeah? מלמטה למעלה זה מצד הגוף. אבל מצד הנשמה זה מלמעלה למטה. אבל מילא, comes out לפי זה, that we have like two ways, which Elul being like the symbol of the whole clolis of the Tachlis, what Hashem was really after, symbolizes to us the whole, what you might call, Seder of the Avodah. On the one hand, you have to begin Anilat, and you have to do things in an order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mitzad Hasheni, you have to know that Mitzad your Neshama, you can, if you're working already on your body, then Mitzad your Neshama you can achieve, especially on days like Shabbos and Yom Tov, you can achieve tremendous inyonim. And therefore we see sometimes by certain people that they have like moments, very, very high moments when it was required of them a certain tremendous effort, and they came to the game. All of a sudden a Yid produces, a tremendous quirk that other people never really assumed that he had. Why? Because he has the ability to be also Shabbat. He can be lechatchila, ariva. So the Rebbe says, Mikol Yezeh ניתן lahasi. From all this, it's given to reach the opinion, Sheyehudi Tzorik Tomid Lavedas Hashem B'shnei Mishoinim, that the Yid should always be serving the Eibusha on two planes, P-L-A-I-N-S, plane. So he says, Mitad Echad, all of Lavedas Hashem B'tzula Mesuderet. Yeah, Mitzad Echad, you have to be Masuda. You have to go Yom Rishon, Yom Sheni, and that's Mitzad Yagul. Yeah, Ubaliyah Shlav Shlav. You have to be going up from one level to the other. Vavayidazu, Trukli Yesh Tomi. That has to be the whole time. Yeah, Afilu B'Yom Kippur. V'Simchas Torah. You got to be careful about your body, and you have to be mavara yourself, and be careful what you're doing. He said, "V'harayeh shegam haim chelik miyamei hashavua." For example, people ask you, "What day is Yom Kippur this year?" So you say, "Oh, Yom Kippur this year is Wednesday or Thursday." Why? Because even Yom Kippur is part of the counting of the week. And so the counting of the week, we learned, is showing us how we have to go up carefully, one step after the other. So that has to be the whole time. Afilu Yom Kippur. Simchas Torah. Raya שגם הם חלק מימי השבוע שמסכמים לפי הסעידה. Rishon, Sheni, Shlishi, V'Halul. In other words, that even Yom Kippur belongs to that side. מצד השני, תמיד גם בימי החול, צריך יהודי לעבוד את השם גם מלמעלה למטה. Even when you're doing that, even when you're in the Seder HaTmidi, you've got to know that you have koyches beyond that. And you have koyches which are given you, inside the Ani L'Doidi, and that's given you in a way that you can do things and achieve things beyond that ordinary Seder. Lastly, he says, Avidose b'shleimas u'lo'era b'teres nishmosei, not just your body, but your neshama, hashabas shaloi. Well, that's the inner of the Shabbat, which is within each and every one of it. Kamasupa al shamay azogen, shahoya oicho, kol hashuvua lekovet Shabbat, kol dover teiv, shahoya loi, hayo oima zeh lekovet Shabbat. But you know the story. It's a story brought down in the Gemara Masechta Shabbat. Masechta Beit. In Masechta Beit, beginning of the second period, it's written that Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel had two different ways. That Shammai, whenever he found anything good, even on Sunday, he would say, "Oh, this is a beautiful thing. This I'm putting aside for Shabbos." Shabbos. And if on Monday or Tuesday he found something better, then he would eat that, and then he would say, "I'm keeping this now for Shabbos." Whenever he found anything good and better, that would be for Shabbos. However, Hillel said, no, you have to trust in the Eibishter, Yom Yom, whatever you got today, you got. If you need to get something better, Hashem will give you it tomorrow. You don't have to. And by the time you get to Friday, Hashem can give you twice over for Shabbos. You don't have to worry. Whatever you need for Shabbos, Hashem will give you. So, however, what the Alter Rebbe points out in Shulchan Aruch, and a lot of the great Meforshim learn that way in the Gemara, they learn that really Hillel would agree that what Shammai said is a very good way. Because you're all the time living with Shabbat, you're all the time involved in Shabbat. And that even Hillel would admit that that's a good way. He just said that he's on another madrega of bitachon, that he trusts that Hashem will give him what he needs. But Shammai has got the great milah that he was living with Shabbos the whole time. So the Rebbe said that means that we've got to live inside ourselves with this koyak, that we can elevate everything onto a different level altogether, mitzad the inner Shabbos that we have inside it. And that's a doidi li that's there inside. Hashem's very special helping us, no matter no matter. So you'll have to forgive me, I'm really running out of clear part. What's it all got to do with it? The Rebbe said that this all happens on Parshas Eikev. There's one pshat in Eikev that the word Eikev means, Eikev, like the coming close to Mashiach, how do you call it, the heel of Mashiach. Eikev of Mashiach. Merely, if we'll do all the mitzvahs and carry out all we're supposed to, but Eikev, Eikev of the Mashiach, then we'll be zeicher to all the things, Shoma Hashem Alekecha, Zabriyas, Chesed, all the inyanim will be given for us. In other words, that if a Yid will do everything he can by Eikev, knowing that it's Eikev, and that he's going to Moshiach, then take of miyad doubtless, that you will bring the Gilui of Moshiach. Amen. Can you hear? And then the Rebbe gets on to the blind people, about Braille. There's a famous seerah about Braille, The Rebbe said they have to print all the Svarim in Braille, and particularly about Moshiach in the Gula, so the blind people will also be able to coax it, and they will also show you Moshiach now, even the blind people. And the Rebbe said that'll be like another move towards the Gula, that everybody throughout the world will be able to show you Moshiach. to know that Shabbos is a very special divine help. So when your little voice says to inside you on Shabbos, says, oh, let's sleep for another 2 hours and let's never go with this and this, don't listen to him. Say, no, Shabbos, we're going to go big. We're going to go for big things. And Hashem will hope that you will have the good health and everything you need, just the same. Amen. You know the symbol.
Do I know, sir? You made the connection here.
We're well organized, you organized me to catch Gafni.
Sure,
What do we do now? We turn it off?
What?
We turn it off, we finish this in the car.
No, it's what?
This is in the Chayim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam ba'olam v'yimzos.
Hey, you just ended the shiur. Keep it on for the rain.
Let's begin. Dvarim b'teivus. How's the driver? How's the driver, yeah?
The doubt thing is a rabbi, that's for you. That's for that.
Yeah, good.
How about?
I'll drink it, but people leave it, just give it.
I'll have a little.
They leave it in the cups every time.
You should be quiet and just receive it. Don't tell everyone what to do all the time.
He's getting older by the day.
I have great hopes for you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the wonderful shiur.
Shoshana Chana Bas Gabriel.
יש לי עליית השמה בעזרת השם, תכף מיד. שיח now, with
Sheikh now, ממש.
חיים וחיים, רבי.
Amen. Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu. Tonight is about Avistritsky's Yotzah.
Yeah?
15 years, לא? 15 שנה. עשו לו כתבה בכפר חב"ד. בכפר חב"ד עשו לו כתבה. ראיתי בבקשה, משהו שלח לנו.
Amen. Amen.
חיים.
I really should have mentioned it.
Simply the love of
Chayim v'chayim.
So, thank you, Bisrael.
Hey, בשיעור על חנוכה. שיש אוכל בהם.
So in the midst of Sikha, there, for example, we learn that El represents the koyach of the mensch to do himself, but he has a divine answer to help him perfect that avodah which is all here. And then he says that Ali Deiseh, the mensch has the ability to make a dira b'tatoin, which means that he's got the ability to elevate the whole world and make it a different place. It becomes not just a physical world, but a dira b'tatoin. And he said that's like the old marshal. But the Alter Rebbe brings in, of course, the eternal place that's mentioned in Kamar Drushim. That's a marshal of a lever. If you want to elevate something very high and heavy, if you put a metal staff underneath it and then press down, you can have tremendous elevating effect. That's what's called a lever in English, and also in Yiddish it's called a lever. So the Rebbe said that the work of the neshama in this world is like a lever. You're sent down into this world, and you've got to reach the bottom. If you take a lever and put it in the middle, it's not effective. The lever has to go right to the bottom. It's got to get underneath even the bottom, and then if you press, then it has amazing resultant effect. So the Rebbe says that the neshama comes into the lowest of all worlds, and in the lowest of all worlds itself, like we learned, the afo, the body is from offer, and you've got to purify all that with the koyach of the neshama, with the doidi li. You've got to get underneath, the whole of this world and make it into a dira, but elevate it. So the Rebbe says in a footnote that that's the inyan of his father, the Rebbe Levi Yitzchak Schneerson. He said that when you look at, he said his father had the most wonderful rabbonas, and he had everything that was very elevated and ideal up until a certain point after the communists took over. And then everything started going down, as it were, and ultimately he was sent into a golus. He was sent into a terrible situation of exile, way out in lost Siberian Russia, and he passed away over there, and he's buried. He's mocking Kabula. He's over there in Alma Ata, which is nowadays it's a bit more inhabited. Yidden already moved in there and everything, but in those days it was. So the Rebbe said, why? Because he said it's Bilti Sovi, that his father represents the necessity and the koyach that a Yid has nonetheless to go down into the lowest of all points, and yet he never ceases. In other words, that even though he's passed away, but he's still working, and he's pressing on the lever, and Devki, he is elevating the whole the whole Yeshua, the whole business. That's what the Rebbe says in the footnote. So when you think about it, it's an amazing idea. Because when you look at it, the Rebbe Levi was such an unbelievable power as a Rebbe. He had tremendous of it. And even at the beginning of the communists, when they took over, he had Paul, who was certain of the big main communists in the government regime, and he persuaded them to give him the hechsher on all the wheat that went into matzahs in Russia. So in the first few years of the communist regime, it was matzahs for all the Yidden in Russia with the hechsher of the Rebbe's father. Yeah, it was all under him entirely. And gradually, unfortunately, Stalin took over and things got very bad, and the whole thing turned into sheker with Kosovo. They started lying and saying that they are giving matzahs, but they weren't really, and everything. And then everything just seemed to go down, collapse. And the next thing is they arrested Reb Levi, and he was in prison, and he was tortured, and then in the end, they sent him out into Golas, and he was there for a few years, and then he passed away in the Golas. So it would appear like everything's been lost.
You couldn't come to the Rebbe's wedding.
Oh, you couldn't come to the Rebbe's wedding. Anything. So that looks like, everything's lost. So in this footnote, the Rebbe points out that's not the way to understand it. The way to understand it is that his father is such a koya that he had to go down right underneath the lowest part of the whole world, and with his unbelievable power, elevate it. He's like the lever that is pressing, that really is elevating.
Lifting up everything.
Oh, so take a look. They thought they were sending him away into God's and finished. And what is it? His son took over the whole world. His son is still conquering the whole world. The Rebbe has not, that he could go to sleep. But things are happening the whole time. All sorts of, what you can see. In other words, that the lever is working in a most amazing fashion. And Yiddishkeit, through the Rebbe, with the son of Reb Levi, it seems that everything went chutzlot and sodas and golas and all those, so the Rebbe, they've all been mitzapech into Yeshua of Yiddishkeit throughout the whole world, and in Russia itself also. It all just without any reason and without knowing what was really going on, it all just changed. A huge regime, unbelievably huge. The communist regime was a huge ironclad system that sent so many thousands of people to ruination, Rachmanin and so on and so on. All of a sudden, in a few days, the whole thing just collapsed. There's a siman that there's some elevation way deep underneath the wall that's elevating the whole world. Everything is going on. So that's what the Rebbe hints at in that footnote in the Sikha, that really Kof Menachem indicates that what looks to be a tremendous tragic going down, but he said that going down is going down underneath the wall in order to elevate the whole building. And look what's happening all through the world. The Rebbe is still working, and Yiddishkeit, and even here in Eretz Yisrael, you can see things are happening. If you just look, you see the most unbelievable nisim. And the Rebbe said that there are nisim, that it's a mitzvah to notice the nisim and to tell others about them. And if you just look at what's happening, the radio tries to, depress you. It tries to show you all the negative things that are happening, all the frightening things. You have to give in to the Arabs because it's so frightening if you don't give in to them. The real news, this shows you that despite all of that, nonetheless, we're still here. Not only we're still here, but really, The ones who are in control, be'emes, are the Yid, despite everything. It's just unbelievable thing. And when you think about it, there's just so many millions of them. And they've got all these up-to-date weapons, you know. They just need to press a button. 50 rockets, you know. It's just unbelievable. Listen, that Hashem, Matzilenu, the Rebbe says in the Siyah, Kodesh Baruch Hu Matzilenu miyodam. Hashem saves us from their hand. You follow? It's like we say it's like a Leila Seder happening the whole time. You know? She'om dim aleinu, dim aleinu, l'chaleseinu, v'ha-kodesh Baruch Hu Matzilenu v'ha-kodesh Baruch Hu Matzilenu v'yodam. And you should realize that it comes out that they thought they sent Rav Levi into a garden. They thought he got sick and he's buried. You know, the one who's really winning the whole show is Rav Levi Yitzchak Schneerson. He's the one who's really winning the whole show. It's all just expanding. Everything he began is not lost. It's expanding. And there's this unbelievable lever underneath that's elevating the whole Geshem. Hashem should help us, guys, that we gotta wake up, you know, where we really hold in the world. And it's so easy, you know, just to get a bit down, you know, to sort of look away, you know, this and that. And maybe there are good reasons by some people to be a bit, you know, upset here and there, but we have to be mitchazek. We have to take koyach, and we have to know that the odds are tremendously high. And the stake, the prize is very, very close, very, very, high aim, and that is the Gula Shlema, the Poel Mamish. And the Rebbe promised it, and the Rebbe said it hundreds of times, that it's just around the corner, it's there, it's waiting. Yeah, it's mamish on the other side of the wall. It's just a question of, so if we'll make a little bit of an effort, everybody says, I'm already tired, I'm fed up, you know, I don't want any koyach anymore, and I hit the head. Let's say that's the case. Okay, you don't take over any koyach, and I sympathize with somebody who has no koyach. I also have no koyach. But we've got to make that little extra quetch on the lever, you know, and it's hard to know how powerful a small thing maybe is, you know. It's brought down by yom. That sometimes people think they got to, you know, move Mount Everest or something. In order, it could be a small thing. Mm-hmm. And the Rambam says it's enough one Ma'aser Tov, or one Dibur Tov, one Machshava Teva, and you can maybe swing the whole thing. So we must always remain, despite what appears. And that's what the Rebbe said, you mustn't follow just in the ordinary looking of the eyes. You have to open your eyes. What does that mean? You've got to look a bit deeper and a little bit beyond what the media of the world try to sell you. You've got to look and see what's a little bit deeper, and then you will have the quetch on your lever. Just another bit of a quetch. And then you can elevate the whole world, and we got to realize that Hashem is waiting on each and every one of us. It's not the pshat that He's waiting on me more than on anybody else. Hashem is waiting on each and every one of us just give that little scratch on the leaf, you follow? Each one according to his level, each one according to his ability. And don't ever say, oh, who am I? Because you are much, much infinitesimally more important than what you think you are. Without being a Bulgarian, come on. Without getting a puffed head, but you're much more important than what you think. You see that London, you have to realize you're more important than what you think. Much more. And a little bit more evidence, and we're there. And that's the message of Kochman Ahamo. When you think about it, it's just so
Eikev.
unbelievable.
Eikev Kishmu.
Oh,
Eikev.
Eikev. Eikev means down at the bottom.
Gafni is also the yard site of it's now also the yard site of Rav Bistritsky, the father. Maybe you have a story, something you know for Rav Bistritsky?
It's a mela.
Kashrus,
What is that?
He says it's the yard site of a lady Bistritsky or the Shalom
Right.
And he was also involved in Kashrus, like the Rebbe's father.
Tonight, is it?
Yeah, you test.
He was the Rav, and he was a very devoted man, very, very devoted to the Indian of Kashrus, and to all the leadership of the Rabbanos, and most Mesiras Nefesh Tikoim. So it's a good dogma of the whole Indian of Kochman Ahamo.
Do you have a personal story with Rabbi Bistritsky?
No, he came after he passed away. He wanted to know the personal relationship. The personal relationship. At the Kesher. You have the Kesher with him, man?
Did they have a kesher?
Yeah.
Did I have a kesher? With Rav Bistritsky?
Yeah.
I knew him personally. That's
Yeah.
all. I didn't have a close kesher, but I certainly knew him. But I knew him. Very much so. You see, I knew his father. I knew his father. Label. What was his name?
Label.
Bistritsky. He was mamash how do you call it?
Store.
Intimate,
Yeah.
like friend of the Rebbe and like supporter. He did all the practical work for the Rebbe. Yeah, he was an amazing person. Him I knew quite well. And the role was his son.
Chaim.
And we should learn.
Change kashrut here in Tzfat completely. Mamish. There's no kashrut in Tzfat.
More than kashrus, that all minhagim, not only Chabad, they brought their challahs to be blessed by him and their babies to be blessed, all minhagim.
Right, but he was so important that they flew him to Yerushalayim twice a week to deal with kashrut and all Eretz Yisrael.
Wow.
That's how important Rabbi Bistritsky was. That he was somebody that everybody just heard the name Bistritsky and they knew they could rely on his kashrut. Would close their eyes, Bistritsky, everything was fine, you know. And it was incredible, an incredible person, you know, the way he was, and everything by him was like, you ask him something, he wouldn't like. Everything was like very to the point.
Worker, a toiler, a worker, it's a very heavy worker. Worker, Arbeiter. Gearbeitet sehr stark.
They're all. Yeah.
I hope not.
We have to go from kashrus to his kashrus.
He didn't, like we saw, he didn't sit b'chibur yadayim.
Always on the go. Always on the go.
Denigrate
Chaim
Chaim
Yishai. Chaim.
Chayim Hashem.
Around Brazil, Chaim Chaim.
Wake up yet?
Thank you for joining us.
I am.
Who's coming to drive? Benjamin's driving. Oh yes.
Benji's out driving.
All right.
Good. It's an interesting thing that I saw in a sefer the other day. There was a story about it was a Grace El Hayid. I just can't remember who it was. That he said that when you go home from shul, you have to carry your talis and tefillin, and carrying your own talis and tefillin is a big mitzvah. And since you daven to the Eikev and you made it, then you should feel pleasure in carrying your own talis and tefillin, yeah, when you go from davening. So the other day I thought about that because I had to come up those stairs from the yeshiva to my door. My talis is rather heavy, so I asked the book if he would carry my talis up the stairs for me, and he did. Now I thought to myself, maybe I didn't do so good, but anyway, whatever. I did, and that's it. But I know of a story. I knew Reb Nachum Goldschmidt, all of a sudden, very well. Reb Nachum Goldschmidt was born and brought up when the Rebbe's father was the Rav in Eikev. He remembers him so well as the Rav. And when he was young, he had the great privilege to be like a Ben Bayez, like he was very brilliant. And even when he was young, he had the koyach of expressing himself very nicely. He had a chush, and he had also a chush of humor. He had a very good humor, and the Rav liked him very much. The Rav was very Leivik was very. So once they're walking home from shul, and the Rav Leivik is carrying his talis and tefillin. He had a big talis, heavy tefillin. He's carrying it. So Reb Nachum says to Reb Levi that he would like to carry the Rav's talis and tefillin, make it easier for him. So it's written that, not written, he told me, I'm sorry, that Reb Levi said to him that talis and tefillin you have to carry yourself. It's a mitzvah. And that's exactly what I saw in the sefer. I saw it in the sefer. I can't remember who it was about. Yeah, playing home. I'm sort of getting a bit, I'm not an old man, but I'm getting a bit older. I don't remember a certain project. I just can't remember who said it. But the Reb Leivik said the same thing to Reb Nachum. He said that you can't give him the talis and tefillin because you have to carry your own talis. It's a mitzvah. So Reb Nachum was disappointed. So they walk a few paces, and all of a sudden Reb Levi looks out the corner of his eye, and he sees that Nachum was disappointed. So all of a sudden he takes his talis, that's what, off his arm, and he gives it, and he said, you know what, Nachum? He said, maybe carry my talis. He said he was so idle that he couldn't stand for a moment that he hurt him, and so he made him feel disappointed. So even though he held that he should carry it, he gave it to Reb Nachum. Nonetheless, he gave it to him to carry, and he was so thrilled. He took the Rav's tefillin, and they got almost close to his home. And just before he got to the gate where he was going to go, he said to him, weißt du was, Nachum? He said, give me schon den talis. He said, maybe you could give me now the talis of and then there's another story connected with that, but I just don't have the quote right now to tell it. But you just see the unbelievable edelkeit and the unbelievable knowledge that he had of other people, but he had knowledge that it's a mitzvah to carry around and it's an amazing thing. Just about 10 days ago, I saw it in a Sefer, because he's then written up for it from a good letter, but he said it's and the Rebbe's father sensed his disappointment as a young boy, and he couldn't take that. So he gave him the tallest, even though he didn't hold by him. Yeah. So l'chaim, guys.
זה עוד מישהו, הכסיבה, נחסים הטויבה, לשון הטויבה בסוכר.
זה interessant.
בשיחה.
Das habe ich, ich weiß, was ich sage, und das Sefer von der Netoi Gabriel, bringt es. And the Netoi Gabriel says that the Monkcher bringt Mefurish in sein Sefer Shara Yisoscha, that miyad achrei Tesva Manachamo, so Matzogen Ksiva Nachsim Tov.
Yeah, definitely.
The Monkcher bringt es.
Einige Woche, Parshas Eikev, und Chumash Rashi, Rashi יבצעכם, ב-40 יום עם מצויים, זה אולה בראש חודש, ומסתיים יום הכיפור מ-40 יום.
בדיוק. והם היו ימי רוצים. הם היו
What?
Good. Thank guys. Shabbos, John Colton. Chaim, so I hope Bez Hashem I'll make it tomorrow, Bez Hashem. I just want to be married if I don't stay for very long. I have a lot to do Shabbos.
Yeah.
But of course Bez Hashem I'll
Dus maar ik kan heel
I'll see you to the right, we're in the bank. That's where the bank is.
The bank is right here.
What do you say?
Bank, that's the bank.
He's going to the bank first.
Oh, he's going to the bank first, then he's coming to the bank.
No, we're on the street.
Well, somebody's got to go to the bank.
You say these, you keep them for